Hi guys, welcome back to the Exclusive Tradings mini-series. Today's just going to be a simple sort of tutorial on using TradingView. If you haven't ever heard of TradingView before, it's basically a free online tool. There is paid pro membership versions, but it's a free online tool where you can sort of analyze charts and keep up to date with current prices, and sort of use indicators and make
all sorts of technical analysis.
So initially what we're going to do, we're just going to give you an overview of the platform, going to walk you through a couple of sort of the admin bits of it, and then Chris is going to go through some of the technical analysis that you can actually do on TradingView. So the first thing to note is that it actually pulls through real-time data. So whether you're using a free version or a pro version, you're using real-time market data. There is some equities and certain instruments that you can use that are actually delayed because they require an extra subscription. For example, the DAX, you actually require to pay for a pro subscription for that on the side as well. So just bear in mind of that. But for the purpose of Forex, I think FXCM, they're all the FX pairs are on FXCM and they're completely free, so you can use TradingView for free with them to begin with. So first things first, obviously once you've got a chart open, it'll probably be white. It probably won't be in dark mode like you can see mine is now, and you'll probably have red and green candles, but we'll go through sort of changing those in a moment, just so that you can make sure your chart looks sort of aesthetic for you. Everyone has different preferences how they want their chart to look. Me and Chris don't use red and green candles very often. There's a bit of psychology behind red candles. We just don't like, we don't like using them.
I just don't like the look of them, to be honest.
But first things first, if we come into this top left corner here, if you create an account, you should be signed in here so you can see your profile, and then you can do whatever you need with there. You can change to dark color theme. So what that does, that'll change all the outside or your watch list and sort of your taskbars. That'll change that to black instead of white. Drawings panel will keep this panel open here on the left. Obviously you can sign out, do all this sort of stuff, but what you want to do is you want to make sure you've got auto save ticked at the very top. Now the worst thing that you can do is do some analysis, you close your laptop, you walk away, you come back half hour later and it's all gone. And it's happened to me a lot when I first started trading, when I first started using TradingView. So just make sure you've got this switched on, because it'll auto save every 5 minutes, so you don't end up losing everything that you've just done. In the top left, you can search for your instrument to trade. So you can see at the minute we're just on the Euro USD chart from the broker Awanda. It's just the example I'm going to use for the purpose of this video. You can search for anything else. So you can search for Bitcoin. You can search for
you can just type in Bitcoin and it will come up with like the different charts. You don't need to type in the actual name of the pair.
And you see just down the side here, this is just the market provider. So let's have a look. So just Euro USD, for example, these are all the different brokers. So you've got FXCM, Awanda, Forex.com, IDC, etc., etc. There isn't much difference between them. There could be like a couple of ticks difference, but nothing that's gonna majorly throw you off. So just kind of use one sort of broker. I use FXCM usually, but for the purpose of this, I'm using Awanda because it's completely blank chart. Next thing, we've got some time frames up here. So I think it comes blank, or you might have daily or 1 hour when you first sign up. So all you do is click this little arrow down here, and then you put a star next to the time frames that you want to keep up here. And what this does, it just makes it easier than clicking this and choosing the time frame every time you want to switch. So what you got to do, you just click them and you switch between the time frames. But if you've got them favorited, you can just flick here. So that's what they are. Then you've got the type of chart that you want to be using. Now, if you're learning with Exclusive, keep it on candles. We're never going to tell you to use anything else. In fact, I don't even know what the half of this stuff is, so just completely ignore that. The compare, so basically this is a little bit more advanced now, so it's potentially not something that we'll go into too much detail, but it's good to kind of for you to know it's there. So what you can do is you can add another line onto the chart so that you compare correlations between FX pairs or between equities and stuff. So you can see here, obviously we've got the euro dollar, and it just enables us to compare how the euro dollar is moving compared to the S&P. So you can see the correlation between the two.
Yeah, it comes in handy when you're comparing like commodities with FX pairs as well, such as oil and Canadian dollar.
Yeah. Just so that you could, if, for example, like Chris said, if you hear some news about oil, you know that if you've been keeping track of how correlated it is with the Canadian dollar, you're going to know how the Canadian dollar is going to react, etc., etc. But again, like I say, that's probably a bit more advanced. You won't be using that at the very beginning. Next thing along, we've got indicators. Now, we don't actually use that many indicators. We don't use them for confluence or anything, but that's more strategy based. But what you do is you click in this and then you can search for an indicator. So if we said we want a moving average, let me just click and it's come onto our screen. Now you can click, I accidentally clicked it twice then. You've just got this little drop down here. So if you click on that, all your indicators that you've got on the chart will show here. You can click that little settings icon and you can change the parameters that you want. So the length will be the amount of periods. So when we're on the hourly, let's say we want 24 hours worth of data. The source is what the moving average is based off. So it's based off the close of the candle, etc., etc. And then you can change how it looks. So you can change the color. You can change all these different sorts, sort of aesthetic things as well. So yeah, that's just how we add indicators onto the chart. To remove them or to hide them, you just click this little eye icon, or you can click the X to remove it from the chart. Okay. With indicators as well, some of them actually appear in the indicator window. They don't come onto the chart. So if you double click on a chart, your indicator window will pop up at the bottom. So for example, you can see I've got the average true range up at the moment. It's actually in its own little window. Now you can use the full TradingView functionality whilst the indicator window is open. But for me personally, I only use this to calculate certain stop losses. So I just hide it for the majority of the time, just so that I've got the full screen for the actual chart. I don't really know what financials is, but that's not important.
Yeah, financials is just more used for stock trading.
Yeah, I've never looked at that, to be honest.
Yeah, it doesn't provide much.
Yeah, can ignore those. Alert. So all that's going to do is that's going to create a price alert on the screen. What you can do though is you can right click and add an alert from here. That's how I usually do it. So that you can get specifically to the pip where you want an alert to be. The reason you'll do that is, for example, if you're out and about, you might not be able to enter at market. So you might set a pending order and you might want to know when the order's been activated, or you might be away from your chart, you might be at work, for example, and you want to keep up to date with where price is moving. So you can set an alert and it will pop through to your phone or pop through to your laptop, whatever, and it will just tell you that price has reached a certain point. What you can do as well, if you've got some form of technical analysis, if you right click on that, you can also add an alert onto those as well. So it'll tell you what pair you're adding it on. It'll tell you it's sort of the conditions that you want the alert to go off. So we want it when it crosses the horizontal ray or horizontal line, sorry. It'll tell you what piece of technical analysis it is. You can choose how often you want it to go off. So we just want it only once. There's an expiration date. You can put open-ended if you don't want it. Oh, okay, that's a premium feature. Ignore me. And yeah, you just click create, and then that will go off on your phone. The replay tool is a pro feature, I believe. So you would have to have a pro TradingView membership. But what it allows you to do is go back and replay past price action without being able to see what's coming. So what you can do some forms of analysis. Let's just say we're using some resistance here, and then it allows us to play through price action and kind of go in real time to allow us to backtest. To begin with, it's not necessary to pay for a TradingView subscription, but we would recommend when you come to backtesting and you come to begin trading with a demo account, you really want to be sort of optimizing your tools. And I think the basic pro version is it's roughly about £12 a month or $14.95 in dollars. it's worth every penny because the amount of knowledge you're going to gain from back testing real-time data, it's
Yeah, definitely.
no-brainer in it. So yeah, moving on, we've just got some back and forward buttons. So let's just close the replay tool. In fact, I'll go through the replay tool a little bit more because I didn't really say much about it. So once you've gone past past price action, this button allows you to go back further if you haven't gone back far enough or you've made a mistake. This button plays out price action. So let's go a little bit further back. So if you play this, price action will start playing. You can slow it down as well. So let's say you can see that pops up one update every 3 seconds, and then you click play and it will just start playing through. And then you can alter the speed so it will go very faster, or you can move each bar manually by pressing this button here. This will bring you back to current price, and then the X will just take you out of replay mode. If you make a mistake, so let's say you put something on your chart, instead of fiddling about and right clicking and deleting, you can just click the back tool, and then if you've made a mistake going back, you just click the forward tool and get rid of it. Up here, again, this is another pro feature. So on the basic version, the free version, you will only be able to have one chart open at a time. With the pro version, you can have two. So you can see here, I've got two screens open at once. So I can look at two charts. So I can either look at two pairs, or I can look at one pair on two different time frames, for example. Again, that's not a necessary feature to have when you're just starting out. I probably wouldn't recommend kind of keeping your eyes scattered across two charts, but it's really useful when you come to trading live, especially if you're looking at a couple of setups for the day. This just tells you if your setup's been saved. So like I said, it's the auto save feature. It'll save every 5 minutes. You can also choose to save now and save the chart layout and make a copy. You just got some settings over here. What you can do to access these is right click and then click the settings there as well. And this is where you change the colors of your candles. So if we wanted to change to green and red, we change the body, and then we could leave the wicks as white. So you can see my chart is now changed to green and red candles. We'll change them back quickly. You can also put the last price line. I decide to have it off because quite often I trade levels, and sometimes I get confused with the last price line and my levels, so I'll just get rid of that. And you got some other parameters here, but to be honest, I won't worry about switching any of these on because as a beginner it doesn't really matter. You can put the bid and the ask line on, which will show you the difference in spread, but again, it's not necessary, and I probably wouldn't advise having that if you're just starting out. Appearance, again, I wouldn't bother about looking at any of these either while you're beginning. Just go to the appearance, and then here you can you'll probably have these grid lines on your screen to begin with, something like that. Now for me, they're just not very aesthetically pleasing, so what I do is go on there and I just turn the opacity down to 0%.
I just want to say we do advise you take off the vertical and horizontal lines, just because you might get confused with your levels.
Yeah.
And when you look at your charts, you'll just automatically think price will go to certain levels, and you'll tend to draw levels at those vertical lines just because they're there. So we do advise you take them off just so you have clean charts to look at.
Yeah, 100%. Next thing is session breaks. Now what this does, it will just split up each day's session, so you can sort of easily highlight the day's high and the day's low. I would never ever keep them on my chart, and I advise you to do the same. Nothing really more of any importance on there. We'll just close off that now. This button obviously takes you to full screen mode, so we'll get rid of your Chrome bar or your Edge bar or whatever. This will take a snapshot, so if you're backtesting, for example, you can keep track of your charts. So if you can save the image and save it to your PC, local, whatever, or you can click copy, and it'll what TradingView actually does is it has like a massive storage where it'll just store images for you, and it gives you a link. So if we come to view that in the future, we just whack the link in there, and then you can see, obviously it takes us to a screenshot of our chart. And then, yeah, you can publish it as well. No, TradingView's got its own sort of social media side to it. So you can publish it on there and chat with other traders. So yeah, Chris is going to go through now sort of the technical analysis side of TradingView, and using the tools, the icons down this left-hand side of the screen, and some indicators.
Yeah, so just starting off with the tools, we yeah, can you make that bigger? It's quite small for me.
I'll zoom in 2 seconds. Let go of your mouse, bro.
Yeah, it's better. So yeah, the standard selection tool you'll see is like this cross here, which we normally use. We never really change that. But if you do fancy something different, you can just change it. So you can have an arrow, and you can just move about the chart with an arrow. And it'll be like the normal PC arrows you find on Windows. But yeah, we just stick with the standard one really. Then moving on to the trend lines and the levels. So in here, you'll see all the different lines you'd want to draw. So for example, a trend line where this will just enable you to draw from 2 different points. So if you select this right here, for example, and then going into here, it will just literally 2 different points, and that's where it stops and takes you back to your selection tool. So if you just take that back, talk about this in a minute. So yeah, and also we'll advise you to favorite this. So if you see this little icon here, as you use trend lines most of the time to obviously to draw the trends in the chart, as well as just normal technical analysis. So we'd advise you to just favorite this tool, and when you favorite it, it will actually come up in your own toolbar, which is just down here. I'll move it across so you can see better. And when you favorite more tools, as I'll show you in a minute, the toolbar will build up, and you'll be able to keep your most frequently used tools right in the bottom. So it's just more convenient rather than having to go into here and select them yourself. So we've got the trend line. Also, the most probably popular lines you'll be using with us is the horizontal line. So once again, you just find the price, find like a level you're trading, or you see a good level, and you just click that, and it'll draw a horizontal line going through however long the chart's been on TradingView and into the future. And then once again, if you click into the chart, right click it, you have settings where you're able to obviously adjust the coordinates, so a specific price level, as well as the style of the bar. So whether you want a dotted line, or just like a singular line going through across the whole chart, is just up to you really. We have different colors and different lines for different levels, for different time frames. Sorry, so this is something we'll discuss in our later webinars. So, and then you can, if you look here, the horizontal line will show the price, and then if you click this box here, you won't be able to see the price. So if you want to keep your charts clean, then you wouldn't select the price, so it's easy to see what price is actually near the level. Just leave that. And then if I show you again, if you click on it, you'll see at the bottom here, this tool pop up. So it's basically all the settings for the line I just described, but down here, so you might find it easier to use then. And then you've got this bin icon here, which you'll be able to remove, the hide, so you won't be able to see it, which to me is not a very good feature because you just forget that the line's there. And then lock. So lock feature is basically if you don't want to remove the lines by accident, whether you're going back, but whether you're back testing maybe, and you want that you want the horizontal line to stay as it's a key level in the future, so you can just lock it, and then it'll disable you from deleting the chart, from deleting the line, sorry. So if we just add this to our toolbar as well, as it's something we use quite often. Horizontal ray is going to do the exact same thing, but it's just not going to go as far to the left. So if I've got a quite recent level, let's say a quite recent hourly level, which has been respected in the past, but we know is respected this month, we might just want to place it here. If it's going to place, 2 seconds. So if we just bang it on there, And as you can see, it's not going to go to the left. It's not going to go back into the past. It's just going to go into the future. So that's another tool we recommend you add to your toolbar. Moving forward. So these are all types of the technical analysis and technical patterns you will learn about. So the most frequent one we use, and probably the only one we use looking at this list here, is the fib retracement. You may use the fib extension, but something we don't really teach. We don't really look to take profits at the fib extension, so we just use the fib retracements. So if you just draw the fib tool from the high to the low here, your fib tool will look quite different to this because this is suited for our graph, for our charts. So you'll have all different types of levels. As you can see on here, we only got the 100%, the 61, the 8 fib, the 50, and the 38, as these are the levels we trade, as these are the levels that are most respected. But once again, if you click on the actual tool, you have all the different settings where you can change the colors, and you can actually select all the price lines, all the lines, all the levels you want on your tool. So you might want to 78.6, for example, as that's still a valid fib level. But that's another tool we'll add to our toolbar for now. But as I said before, there's not many other tools we'll use from there. You're more than welcome to try these out, and then message us about it. We'll always help you, and we'll always be welcoming of you using those tools. It's just something we don't use. These are like just drawing tools. So you have the brush. The rectangle is quite a good tool we use. So I'll just add it to the favorites very quickly. Is where you can select a specific area of where price action has been, for example. So if you've got a high there and you've got some highs here as well, it will let you select the whole area there. So you'll be able to select the whole area there, so you know, going into the future, you know, oh, the price might bounce from here, as it's sometimes not a strict level, so it might go into that area and then bounce from that area or go through that area. Is just completely up to you how you want to use it. Once again, all these tools are customizable, so you got all the customs here. Whether normally it just creates a box and cuts out there, if you can see, and then Kieran's got his adjusted so it extends far to the right, so he's always aware of that area if we go into the future, and he doesn't see that box again, so that box will always stay there. So if you just delete that, but yeah, you got all these types of different drawing tools you want to use, but once again, we mainly just use the rectangle. Text feature, so you can put text on your charts if you're analyzing and you want to write down the confluence on the chart, for example, then screenshot and send it to us. That's something you might want to do. So you'd select the text tool and just write in here. You can write anything and obviously change the font to whatever you like, and then it'll pop up there. So just delete that. But we don't really use the text tool, as we explain our analysis in our group, so I wouldn't use anything else from here either. So maybe the arrows just so it's easier for you to point down where you're looking at a specific area of price action. So moving on, we got all these price patterns here as well. So for example, if we select the Elliott wave, just zoom out. So with this, you're able to select the Elliott wave pattern is a 5-point trend pattern. So you're able to select 5 points. So we've got this high here, this lower high. Let's go in here. So that's all the tool does. It's basically just labels the trend of the chart, so you're able to spot your higher highs and your higher lows. Another tool we don't really use, but it might help you just to label your charts at the start, so when you go look at them, you can see exactly the swing points and what swing points you want to be trading. So that's another tool. That's probably the only tool we've used from that section. Don't think there's anything more we use. Just looking at, but once again,
from that section, to be honest.
Yeah, head and shoulders pattern, that might also be useful for you as you're starting, because it'll create a nice pattern where you would see it clearly where the head and shoulders appears. But that's, yeah, as we said, that's not something we use often. So these are your P&L, so your profit and loss. So if I just quickly add these to my toolbar, so your long position, let's say you want to go long from here where price is now, you'll create a table. This table, this profit and loss will normally be green and red. So this part here, if I'm going long, so as you recognize, the bigger part of the small picture will be your take profit. So that's where that means you're going long, and also we highlight it's a long position, and the opposite applies for the short position. So this will be in green and red. So if I'm going long, my take profit will be in green, and then my stop loss will be in red. And if I just double click into this, once again, it allows me to change all the inputs. You can type in the percentage risk of your account, and you can actually type in your account size. So then when you're looking at your trade, you're able to quickly see your risk reward ratio, and you're able to see what you're risking in the trade. So it's quite easy to follow. And then the exact same thing, and once again, you can customize these. You can customize these to different colors, whatever suits you. We just don't like using green and red, as it's quite just out there. So we'd rather have subtle take profit, so you can just observe price action.
We like to be different.
Yeah, exactly. But also, it's just more easy to follow price action rather than having these big green and big red P&Ls on your charts. So we've added that to toolbars. It's something we'll use quite often, as we always hit our TP. So you'll always be using that tool. This tool's just different shapes. It's nothing you'd probably use all the time or ever really. So we don't really look at that. The measuring tool, this just allows you to see, for example, how many pips has this moved in the last day. So what I'll do is just go across and then tell you the bars. So as it's an hourly chart, this 23 bars means 23 hours. And then if I move it to the high here, you would see, so in the last 20 bars, in the last 20 hours, the price has actually moved 90 pips. As you can see at the top, it says 90.2. So this is quite a useful tool you'd be using probably all the time, just to seeing, oh, how far has the swing gone? How far has the swing gone for me to trade this? And this tool can actually be accessed through, if I can remember, it's one of the drawing tools, isn't it? Yeah, it's in here. So date and price range, that'd be the exact same tool. So I'll just favorite that as well. It'll appear there. Ghost feed, is it ghost feed? Is it bars pattern? I think it's the bars pattern, isn't it? Yeah, the bars pattern allows you to replicate price action. So if you, let's say you're forecasting the way you want price action to go, you might want to just select like an area of price action, as I did there. Just show that again. So give you two options from here to there. Just move out there. So this is the exact same area as I showed you there. Oh, I've got two here. The exact same price actions I showed you there. So you might want this to forecast where you think price action is going to go in the future, and just model out your charts as to where you think you want to enter your trades. So this is another tool that we use quite often, just to predict where, just to show you guys really where we think price action is going to go for us to take the trade. So if I just add that to the favorites again, so this tool we don't use often. Then let's just show you the measure tool. The zoom in tool is actually, so let's say you're looking at a specific area of price action you want to focus on. This will let you highlight that area. So if I start here and then hold down my mouse and then just highlight this area, it will automatically zoom in. So you're just watching these candles here. Not something we use often, but once again, it might be useful to you. Depends on your trading style, really. So this magnetic tool allows you to, when you draw trend lines, let's say, just get a trend line here, it will actually draw them to the last high, last lows. You can see here, it automatically, what's the word I'm looking for? It will draw the tool to the last high, the last low. So you're not sat there trying to match it exactly to the pip and exactly to the low. So just do it here, and it's just more accurate way of drawing trend lines. Just take that off. This tool here, I'll stay in drawing mode tool. So let's say I'm drawing levels, and every time you draw a level, it will take you back to the selection tool. If you want to stay on the horizontal line, you might select that tool there, so you can draw as many levels as you like, and it will just keep the chart nice and clean for you, so you don't have to be skipping back and forward. Another tool we use quite often, but then I forget to take it off when I'm drawing more levels than I need to, so just need to be careful. Lock or drawing tool, so anything you draw on a chart. So let's just show the effect of this. If I was to draw some levels, oh, 2 seconds. If I was to just draw some levels, let's say I'm drawing a trend line as well. The lock or drawing tools will lock these levels in place, so you can't delete them. And then, yeah, this will lock your drawing tools in place, so you can't delete them. As well as this feature here will hide the drawing tools. So if you want to see a crisp picture of price action and just the chart in general, your candles, you can just select that tool there. Let's just delete them anyway, so they don't look ugly. And I think that's pretty much it from the technical analysis side. Don't really use that tool, and that's just a bin to remove all your drawings. But yeah, I think there's anything else to cover from that side really. You'll get used to it as you progress. What we do advise you, as I showed you there, just to favorite the tools we use as well as you're using the most, just so it's easier for you to follow. Or this is also a nice tool just to the arrow tool just to represent like a specific level or specific area you want to look at. So if we just right here, you can see it's just an arrow pointing. So you might think, oh, price action is going to go up, and then price action will actually come down and then go back up again. Something like this, just so it's easier for you to follow when you're flicking through charts or you actually come to the charts the next day. Anything else, Key?
Just a watch list, mate. Other stuff you'll pick up as you sort of
Yeah, just add this to your favorites again. So moving on to the watch list, you might have different watch lists, or you might have like a set watch list like we've got here, and then you're able to, is it right click you rename? I can't remember rename one. Oh, you just click into it, and
yeah,
click into it. You can just rename it. You can create a copy, and then these are just default tools from the watch list from TradingView, which you'll have on there. Well, is this just start of yours? So as a start, you'll have your different pairs you might want to look at. We only stick to a few pairs, as you can see on here. Got Euro USD, Euro JPY, pound dollar, and pound yen. So these are the main forex currencies we focus on. And so this will show you the last price of the pair. Obviously, we'll show you the pair as well, the pair name. This is the change today. So from 10 p.m. Monday to 10 p.m. Tuesday, that's what you're going to see, as that's the Asian session, the London session, and the New York session. And as we know, Forex is a 24-hour market, and the New York session closes at 10. So that's what we refer to as day end, and you might hear us talk about day end quite often. And the change, if it's in red, that means over the last day, the price of this pair has moved negatively. So it hasn't moved upwards, it's actually went downwards. Why? This is only 3 pips, so it's not a major move. I can't move it, no matter. And then it will also give you the percentage change of the pair. So this is kind of like our watch list, but a watch list we'd recommend you have as well. So you just keep track of the risk sentiment and money flows in the market, like as we portray it to you. So just so it's easy to follow. So this next section, you want to have like a commodity section. Kieran's got gold in here, which is XAU USD. So once again, you'll see the price of the pair and how many
That's in dollars, in it.
Yeah, how many dollars it's moved today. So you won't see in pips. That's pips is only the measurement for Forex yen. We'll talk about pips in another video.
It's actually really important to remember, because that's why my watch list is split up, so it's easier for me to look at, because you measure your equities, your commodities, and your Forex pairs. They're all in different measurements. And then your cryptos. I mean, your cryptos are pips as well, but that's why I just have it all split out like it is.
Yeah, if I just give you a measurement. So that's on EURUSD, that's 70 pips there. If I was to go into gold and do the exact same measurement here, see that shows us a lot more points, but in reality that's only $37.07. So you just need to be careful when you're setting out to trade these instruments with your measurements and your take profits and your stop losses, your P&L, sorry. So yeah, advice to have like a current commodity section with gold and with oil, just to be aware of where price of oil is in the markets recently. For example, if you traded any Canadian dollar pairs, you know it's very related to oil, so you just want to be aware of prices going. The next section is like the key equity section, and that's where you want at least one equity from each trading session. So from the Asian session, we'll always be aware of what the Nikkei has done, as the Nikkei is an overnight session, so it runs from 1 a.m. till 6 a.m. So as you get up in the morning, the general rule is what happens in the Asian session amongst the equities will stay in the markets, as in the sentiment will stay in the markets. So if we have like a really positive Asian session and the Nikkei, as you can see here, the Nikkei's been up 2%, that will normally lead into London and into New York. It's not set in stone, but we do generally see like the pattern follow on.
Correlation's very strong, but the only time it seemed to have waned recently is obviously when we're recording this video, we're in the coronavirus pandemic. And if, for example, the UK had some bad news about the corona or something like that, obviously that's the only time that it wouldn't sort of follow on. But
yeah, as we're recording this video today, the risk sentiment has quite followed on anyway, as you can see from the main indices from Germany, the DAX, and as well as, have you got the FTSE on here? Yeah, as well as the UK, the FTSE here, they've both been positive today. And then in the New York session, we advise you to have the Dow Jones, so the 30 biggest companies in the US, as well as the S&P 500, so the 500 biggest companies in the US, which is the SPX and the DJI. And as you can see, the SPX is the leading indicator for the US, and it also has been positive for the day. Another thing I want to talk about is the US dollar index, which is, you have to explain this because I always forget.
The what? Sorry, the US dollar index.
Yeah, it's a weighted average of the four main pairs the dollar is traded against. So it's the euro, the pound, Aussie dollar, and the Japanese yen. Yeah,
and they've all got 25% weighting up against the US dollar. So essentially, if the FXCM dollar index is up, then the euro, pound, JPY, and Aussie dollar will generally be a little bit weaker, and vice versa. However, it doesn't always mean that all four are going to be weak at the same time. It's just measured 25% equal weighting.
Yeah, the reason we use this is the normal dollar index, the DXY, gives the most weighting to the euro, as the euro USD is the biggest traded pair with like over 80% of transactions. So it's better for us to gauge a risk sentiment for the market following the Dow Jones index, as you're able to see clearer price movements. So that's another index we'd recommend you have on your watch list, just so you're up to date with the risk sentiment across the whole market, basically.
Yeah, you can use the DXY instead of the Dow Jones index. We just prefer that because it's equally weighted. The DXY is it's got a 57.6% weighting to the euro, 13.6% weight to the yen, 11.9% weighting to the pound, 9.1% weighting to Canadian dollar, 4.2% weighting to the Swedish krona, and 3.6% weighting to the Swiss franc. So you can see it's a little bit over half of the weighting is to the euro. So
Yeah, exactly. It's just not.
Yeah, it's kind of a better indicator for how the euro's doing against the dollar than anything else, sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just easy to follow, like the index we use.
And I've never traded the Swedish krona, and I never have.
The spread on that, jeez.
I'll never try that.
But yeah, that's basically it for what we advise. And then obviously you can have like any cryptocurrencies you're interested in trading as well, just on the bottom of here. And then Kieran actually has his back testing. So for back tests, we'd recommend you use a different broker. So as you can see here, we use FXCM for our main chart analysis, and then we'd use Oanda for any back tests, just so you start with a clear chart. And as we've said before, the price differences won't be major for the charts to be skewed so much, so you can still back test and have reliable results.
Mhm.
But that's pretty much it. Then you can just hide your watch list here if you just want to full screen the charts, and then any alerts you actually have on any levels or whatsoever will actually appear here, so you can keep track of them.
Oh, that's a good point to make, actually. Let me just take over a sec, Chris.
Yeah, I'll
So
move on.
these little things that you might see at the bottom of your chart, you haven't been over this, have you?
No.
These are actually fundamentals that are coming up. So this is sort of works similar to an economic calendar. So if you just click on these, it'll tell you sort of news releases that are coming out. The only problem is with it, you can't see you can see there's 13 news releases here. I can only see there's about 6 on the screen there. I can't actually get them any smaller than that. So I wouldn't use that economic calendar, but it's just for reference if you was wondering what these are. That's what it is. And when you're back testing, if you've got the pro version, if you see these coming up, and then just be aware that you might see obviously a volatility spike.
Yeah,
when you cross over.
the red highlighted news events will be the more volatile news events, if you just have a quick look at that. But,
yeah. But
yeah,
me and Chris was talking before we started recording this video, because we just having a general chat, and we were sort of talking about, you know, recording it and how we felt when we first opened TradingView and looking at a chart for the first time. And it's daunting and it's scary, and everybody feels in the same boat. You know, we was in the same boat. But just trust the process and kind of learn the tools that you're using. It'll take you a couple of weeks before you feel comfortable charting, and then it's going to take you months and months and months to feel comfortable with your strategy and using it on a chart. So just give it time. Don't worry that you might not be hot with it straight away. It is going to take time, but hopefully this tutorial sort of got rid of a lot of the learning, because we've sort of given you the information that you need. I know there's not a lot of tutorials out there for TradingView.
they are, but they're just quite basic and
Yeah.
just basic for everyone. I feel like here we've captured a lot of things you're not going to find in one video, so it's quite useful.
Yeah, 100%. And those stuff at the bottom, the stock screener, the text notes, Pine Editor, Strategy Tester, and Trading Panel, don't worry about them. I believe these are for if you've got an EA, which is an expert advisor, which is sort of like
we don't really use them at the bottom.
Yeah, I've never used them. This is quite useful though. If you did want to use it, you can whack some notes based on the chart. My keyboard's fell to sleep, so that, you know, if you say yesterday blah blah blah, and you come back the day after, obviously you can have a look at your notes and you can see where you kind of like left off. But I personally don't use them. But yeah, that's pretty much everything on TradingView, I think. So
well, if you have any more questions, just you can always message us about anything on like TradingView related, and chances are we would have struggled to find the same thing. So
yeah, so these are the different plans. So you're looking $14.95 a month for the basic pro plan, which is what Chris and I both have. You don't need the Pro Plus or the Premium unless you're some expert trader who's making millions a year. I wouldn't bother with those. However, the Pro version is very good. It's one of the biggest things is with the basic plan, you've got constant ads coming up on the screen. It doesn't sort of take up the whole screen. It only pops up. It's probably about this big, if that's not extended right.
I
and it's
forgot
just
about the
up,
ads, yeah.
it comes up advertising different brokers in the bottom left hand corner, and you can close them off so it'll go, but it's a little bit annoying. So yeah, just upgrade to the pro version if you want to get rid of that. You can have more indicators, you can have 2 charts, you can have more alerts, ad free, and yeah, but you can upgrade. But like we said earlier, with the basic version, you can do more than enough apart from it says you can backtest.
Might offer you for different time frames. I can't remember.
I think on the basic you can only
Like the 4 hour, the 8 hour.
for the daily, can't you?
Oh yeah, it's one of them, I think. But yeah, that's not really much use anyway.
Yeah, so you'll probably end up wanting to upgrade anyway. We upgraded fairly early on from using TradingView. So yeah, but apart from that, I think we're all done.
Yeah.
I don't know if you went over it at the top. Did you, Chris? This?
Oh no, I forgot about
Okay, so this at the top, obviously you can see it changes everywhere I'm moving on the screen. That's the opening price for the candle. So if we're looking at the latest candle here, you've got the opening price, you've got the high of the candle, you've got the low of the candle, the close of the candle, the pip gain of the candle, or the tick gain, or the dollar gain, or whatever, and then the percentage gain. And obviously it'll be a plus or a minus, whether it is bullish or bearish. So just remember, open, high, low, close. And
Just one more thing. The split screen here. So with click it. You do it because it lags for me. So yeah, with the pro version, you can split screen, so you can look at different time frames, for example, for the same pair.
Yeah.
If you're looking for extra confidence, yeah. Something we use. I mean, I'll use it quite often, to be fair, just to like, get a general idea.
Screens open.
Yeah, just to have like a general idea of like the high time frames.
I have vertical screens, so when I've got mine on top of each other, it's actually like it looks a lot better than what it does on the screen now. If I'm in a normal screen, I'd have them side by side like that.
Yeah, that's how I normally have it.
A bit better sort of thing.
It's easier to follow.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it then.
Brilliant. Right. I hope this was of some use. Yeah, and I hope TradingView seems a little bit less scary. And like Chris said, if you've got any questions, just shoot them over to us. I'm more than happy to, go through some stuff with you. Send us screenshots, send us whatever you need, and we'll get back to you.